which is YouTube and Facebook. Okay? There we go. All right, so I'll just start talking. So I'm with Mike LeBove. See how beautifully I say that rolls right off my tongue. Rolls right off my tongue. Like I've been saying it for over 45 minutes straight. And Mike is my pal, and he is the show music librarian and a great teacher of golf and a person who enjoys teaching you how to play better golf and the fun of. I don't think you ever get tired of the passion of golf. I can tell just today. And you've said things like you're having more fun right now. Share a little bit with what you and I talked about with people that might be out there and listening to us or talking to us about how much you love the game of golf and not what you're going to be doing down the road, but just you love to teach.
Yeah.
You love to see people get better, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've been blessed to be able to do it with, especially our whole family. I mean, from my wife Sandy and now Lindy, our oldest daughter, is director of instruction in Scottsdale. And
how is Lindy doing? I meant to ask you in the first thing we got off on the trail. How is that? She looks like a complete composite of the two of you. Yeah. She's perfect, and she is a serious little pro out there, isn't she?
She is, and people can't believe how far she can hit the ball at her size. I mean, everybody they watch her hit, and it's like, what are you, 110 pounds? Pow, and she'll go out and, hey, Dad, I drove 295 on the last hole.
Wow.
I'm like, what? And she's swinging better now than she's ever swung. But it's also fun for the three of us to all get to teach together and to be able to watch your daughter or son or whoever perform, at their age and get better at what they're doing, have a passion for it is really cool. And our youngest daughter, Christy, of course, Christy is one of your biggest contributors too. I don't know if you know or not, but she and I every week are trading music back and forth.
Oh.
She'll text me every...
That's Melky Chance?
Yeah, every other day. Dad, have you heard this? Have you heard this?
Okay. Why didn't she get on there and send a nice request in herself?
She should. We'll get her...
Yeah.
Stepping up that deal.
We'll get her a nice soundbite on there.
But when you were talking earlier about your age group, the most popular, what'd you say, 25 to 34?
Yeah.
She's in there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because she's been following music the whole time growing up. She used to sing you couldn't turn the channel anywhere you wanted to. She knew the song. She was the entertainer in the family. And so we still have that. Lindy and I have golf. Christy and I have music. And
Sandy has a little of each.
Oh yeah, well, yep.
She'll say, "Oh,
she's an all-star."
She said, "Yeah, Harry, I hear you almost every morning. Mike's got you on. It's not like our old days when we were teaching. I still hear you every day. He's out there. He's got the dog. He's sitting there listening to his music. You never get tired of music, can you?
No. There's some things you can't do without in life, and food and music is to the top of the list. To me,
I agree.
Right. But yeah, Sandy, I'm always up early, and so especially on Saturday and Sunday mornings, if I don't get through your show on Saturday morning, I finish it up on Sunday morning, and Sandy will get up, maybe an hour later than me, and so there's Harry again. I hear Harry on there. What story is he telling this morning?
As we keep talking, I'm going to change camera just to see what it looks like, just for the heck of it. There we are in a different look right there. I don't know if we should or it doesn't.
This is quite the set.
We got the guys. And look at when it's all correct, this is the dot cam, and you have a green thing. We didn't need it here, and I put down whatever I put down. It comes up on that screen, so you can put down a music list. You can put this, and then these are all presets.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back. You can hit that. See?
Yeah.
And then you go back to the different cameras. And then these are the social media feeds, of course. Then you can record up here and do that. And then it has, so you can have 3 cameras in gear. And then over here, which is, I can't really use it very much, is where if it was a radio station with the tracking of the songs. That's how this thing was built. A guy in Argentina, an engineer's dad, owned 5 stations. And so he wanted to make them visual.
Yeah.
So he's a computer wow man. He's got the coolest bachelor pad you've ever seen, and I can show it to you. I think if I can find it here. Where are we here? Let's take a look. See if I can bring it up. There it is. Now I don't remember how to get out there. See, that's a live feed right there.
Huh. That's cool.
I'm afraid to see if I could try to get it on here or not. We'll screw around. I don't remember. I haven't done it in a long time. Let's see. Play. Well, it doesn't matter. That is his house right there.
That's very cool.
And it's a like a 800 square foot. He's the skinniest guy you've ever seen. Lindy looks like a monster compared to Alex. And he has a perfect shot of Miami Beach down there, as you can obviously see. And he's up 35 floors. And everything looks like IKEA built his place from the inside. And then he has all these computer screens. And then he had this little box about like this. So we were sitting there talking, and I said, so Alex is giving me lessons on it. I said, what is that black box? He said, well, and he kind of did like you do when I ask you about what you got coming up. And he went, oh, well, it's a deal we built for cell phone. And he said, for one client. And I said, who's that client? He said, well, the government. So I don't want to go any further about his black box.
Right.
We can just use our imagination and know what the black box had in there. But
Hey, look what I brought. So after we met, and you remember that one day I said, I think I have something for you might like.
yeah,
And I brought out this 50 CD set that my friend Jerry Del Cagliano gave me. He was a former disc jockey. And what is this? What does it say? Disc number. So you announce it every week on your show. You play
rock and roll graffiti radio play only disc 26
Yeah.
or disc 8 or disc whatever.
what is it, 13 and 18?
Yeah,
So these are the things that were put out to radio stations. And when I brought them out to you, it's like, what is this?
I loved them. And
Yeah.
look who's on there. Look at the Mighty Electric Prunes, the Elegance, Shuri Ellis, and sometimes you run into one you don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, I love the Everlys.
So there's 50 of these. So I just brought 2 today just to...
Well, thank you.
So every time you make your announcement on your show, this is what you're pulling them off of.
Yeah, and Terry bought me a little, I don't know what it's called, but I basically stick that in there. Comes up over here on the Big Apple, and it says, do you want to download these into iTunes, in my iTunes library? So I download them, and then you got them back as I gave you last time.
Right.
So I'll download those and do the exact
Yeah.
same thing and put them in. It's lots of fun to look. And
Yeah.
I don't even take any chances more. I got about 5 or 6 sources that I go out to get music. Besides, I'd say 20% of the show's contributions from people now, which is awesome.
That is good.
Everybody and
Yeah.
anybody, it doesn't matter. I love it. And I think I've turned down one song that was so horrific as a metal song, not because of music, because it was too crude. No, there's cussing in rock and roll,
Right.
let's face it.
Right.
But we don't need my famous expression, I'm going to slice your mother's eyeballs out in the morning or any of that kind of, I don't need it.
Right.
And then we support the kids' charity, the Be Kind People, which it's a good deal for young kids and trying to stop the bullying and the rest. And so otherwise, I'll play anything, and I have played anything. It doesn't really matter. And I got to tell you, and tonight is 123, but in 124 and 125, I got to have 2 20-year-old girls, their requests. Both of them. I mean, there could be nobody over 25 that have these 2 songs. They're in. I sent her an email back, said, well, you're on. Her name is Tasha Still. I said, you're in. We'll be playing it. And I could barely say who it was. Say So by so-and-so. And nowadays they're featuring, like Ed Sheeran will have a couple of guests on with him.
Right.
And, hey, there's and people say, well, how do you pick your music? That is the weirdest of all. Because I can't really even say. It just comes up, or I'll hear something, or I'll be going through all the goodies, and it'll sound good, and
Mm-hmm.
and you put them all together, and most of the time it works. But then once in a while you'll say, I don't like this after this, but I don't make a lot of changes. I'm pretty lucky now.
Mhm.
About 85 or 90%. The first run is what it is. I always do my deuces, stick those in there, and usually, then I got a allow from my pal Dave. I should give him a shout out, the guy that does the voice. And he's a high school buddy who any of who have heard the show realize that Dave. I remember he told me we did our very first sock hop as a band. The two guys out of the bedroom finally had a band, and so we went out, and I can remember how nervous the two of us were, and we had one other guy with us. And my ex-wife told me that my cymbal kept falling down on my $90 set. She had to keep going and picking it up. But at the end of the first set, and all we did was instrumentals, green onions and that stuff.
Right.
And at the end of the first set, this guy came up to do the school announcements, enchiladas on Tuesday, study hall on Thursday, and whatever.
Yeah.
And he got off the stage, and a girl told him, said, hey, man, you realize you got a voice for radio. And that next Monday, he went in to the counselor, got himself lined up at the Houston School of Broadcasting, and he was become a lifetime broadcaster. He was in Korea, he's a big-time jock in Seattle, Hawaii. He did a 48 or 50-hour straight thing when a tsunami hit Guam.
Wow.
And he stayed on the air and never went off the air.
No
His name was
kidding.
so he always attributes, and he said, I always wanted to be a drummer, but I couldn't be a drummer. So I'm going to be do that. And after 2 or 3 episodes, he saw it on Facebook and said, hey, man, he reached out to me. He said, Dave Angel, I haven't heard from a long time. He said, I'd love to do some stuff on your show. And I said, well, it's a digital diary for my daughter, and I've said this several times. You've heard it, but other people. I said, I don't need some big hey, talking to my daughter, some big old radio voice. It's my daughter. That's what it's for. And he said, well, I'll do the bumpers and liners. Well, first of all, I barely remember what those were from the days of radio. And I said, well, there's the other bigger problem. There's no money. There's no dough. He said, that's all right. I just want to do it. So all that full circle, only music can do something like that. So Dave and I have a good rapport now. I mean, he doesn't know what I do over here. I just stick it right in that sound card right there, stick it in the back of my Big Apple, shoot it out I have my own, he set me up in my own Dropbox, Harry's personal, then I have Harry's scores, Harry's home runs, and Harry's hits. And so I call Ruth Calling, who's another part of our team, and I'll say, where do you want it? And she'll say, send it to scores. David will take it out of scores. Then he does his fill-in, then he sends it back to me, and I listen to the show. And people have asked me about my sponsors. Well, those are our sponsors because we decided to put them on. They're not really our sponsors. However, we're now at a point where we're going to talk to a couple schools. Grand Canyon might have some interest, and we're not going to wreck the show under any circumstance. But we have a lot of people in other countries, so online programs that they run could be good.
You're making me think of my friend Jerry. I had dinner with him last night. Sandy and I went over and had dinner with he and his wife. And he's the one that provided these CDs.
Did he teach at Cal or something?
He was at USC for a while, and now he teaches a music class at NYU.
Okay.
Huge.
Wow.
Huge. And he was telling me last night he's got 29 students from around the world that are terrific artists that I'm sure they would love to see what you do, and you would probably have a blast talking to each one of them.
I'd love to. If you could hook us up, I'd beg people all the time, call, come on, do whatever you want. Terry gets MP3s from people.
Yeah.
And some people just don't know how to send her what they want to, but we're saying, open it up. In fact, I flaked early on about a year and a half ago. We had a little spat of about, 4 or 5 people. We had the poor guys, the mommy somethings from New York, and we didn't get to play it. We didn't do it. Then a couple of California groups, and there haven't been as many lately. Mm-hmm. So I need to get that back up because we'll play anything for anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, so if you could...
I'll see if I can hook you up.
And maybe some night we could go out with him.
Yeah.
Because, come on, we've played rock and roll, graffiti, radio, play only, disc, X, how many times?
That's right.
I mean,
That's what I was telling him last night. He's been on there so many times he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, he has, and it's been really wonderful. Well, when our pal over here when Mike gets some of the stuff he's going to be doing down the road for people that are interested in golf, want to play golf, and there's life lessons in there also. We will certainly hype it on the show. We will certainly talk it, and we're going to get off here and we're going to do a little podcast. Mike's, when I did the last one, Mike's is going to be maybe a little bit more lively. Dr. Connie was on, and the 10 songs she wants played at her funeral. These aren't 10 songs Mike wants played at his funeral, but we're going to but Connie's was just as great and just as cool, and I was happy to do it. But Mike and I are going to do a little 10-song podcast. He'll talk a little bit about some of his music stuff, and when the time is right, our executive producer is going to have us on live365.com. We have basically our own station, and there will be 4 or 5 of my friends that want shows, want things to do on there, because I know you'd love to see Grayson over there 24 hours a day, but you won't have to, so maybe we'll be able to talk more, or even Mike might even have something there. So thanks a lot for tuning us in. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll let you know when that podcast is going to come up, and we're also going to have a video of this playing, and we'll have that out on some of our channels, our Radio Wilder Facebook, our YouTube, and wherever the hell else we are, something like that.
Perfect.
Right? Mike, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Harry. Thanks for having me.
You betcha.